Hey, it is Parshat Shemot. It's a new Sefer, a new Chumash. We're starting the second book of the 5 books of Moses. And Shemot is really when the Jewish people start going into exile in a serious way. So the Nesiva Shalom talks about the whole concept of galut, which I kind of feel like I've said this before, so I'm not going to go into it in depth. But I wanted to connect it a little bit to the time frame that we're going through right now, the time period, which is insane, as usual. What else is new in our little country, little promised land? The situation is very, very stressful. We're kind of not functioning over here. So just in case you wanted to know if I am functioning, the answer is not really. And what is that? How does that express itself? It's like I don't sleep at night. I really don't sleep at night, like maybe 2 hours or so straight. I almost feel like I have a newborn. Keep waking up. Not eating very well, which is really different for me. I don't feel like eating. I get nauseous very quickly. Um, I have not bought myself something to wear in, I don't know, ages. Ages. Like, I feel like since the war, I haven't really walked into a clothing store. But these last few days, especially, I just feel like I don't even want to buy anything. So, yeah, we're kind of stressed out, and it's because things are coming to a crunch. Things are coming to an end, and not in a very good way. Meaning there will be a lot of emotional upheaval in the next few days, in the next few weeks, really. Some families are going to be overjoyed and so happy, and for that, I'm really, really excited and so relieved. Thank God, some families are going to be reunited with their loved ones, but some will not. And even the families who will, you never know what state their loved ones are in. And of course, we hope for the best, but it's like we are in such high stress mode, it's not even funny. So, why am I saying all this? Because Nesiva Shalom talks about the whole concept of galut, of going into exile and feeling like, what do we need this for? Why did the Jewish people need the 4 exiles, and one of them, which we're still in today, really is just going on for so long that we're losing our minds. It's like enough. We really can't handle it. And he even asks strongly, like, the Jewish people who went into Egypt as incredibly righteous, good people. It was the family of Yaakov. It was Yaakov. It was his 12 children. It was their wives. It was their children. And we went down into Egypt, a beautiful, pure family. And when we came out of Egypt 210 years later, we weren't so pure anymore. We were in the lowest level of tuma, which is like impurity, which is spiritual. We were just in the worst possible spiritual state. And the question is, like, why did we need all of this? It doesn't seem like it's good for us spiritually to be in exile. So why? Why did God put us through exile? It's just not necessary, it feels like. And, it's been the question that we're asking all these days and all these weeks and all these months since October 7th. Like, why? How is this good for us? So, I don't know if this is a real answer to the question, but it is what Netivot Shalom says about galut in general, and I think that we can connect it to the situation that we're in now. So he says that we have to be, in order to receive the light of Mashiach, we need to dampen a little bit the pull of the physical. Meaning, we are, if we're too pulled in the direction of the physical, and if our body is too strong, and it's kind of like so opaque, like our bodies and our physical beings are so opaque that they overwhelm the light. They overwhelm our ability to experience the light. So when Mashiach comes, and especially now because it's like very soon, guys, very, very soon, you should come to Israel. When Mashiach comes, the light will be so great that if our bodies are too opaque to accept the light of Mashiach, we're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to be able to survive. It's like, it's just too, it won't work. We won't be able to accept that light. Now, the Jewish people going to Mitzrayim had to be like kind of cleansed. Their body had to be cleansed. Their physical essence had to be, worked to the core, worked to the ground through slavery, through labor, through all these horrible things. And I guess in all of the different exiles of the Jewish people and all the suffering of the Jewish people, when you lessen the strength of the body, almost like when people are sick and people are very ill and they have that it's like a chronic illness or it's a fatal illness, and it's getting to the end when they're right when they get to the point of when they're about to die. They are on such a spiritual level, even if they're not religious, because they are just like, their bodies are just not really a presence anymore. They're not really taking center stage. And so their soul takes over. And I think that is what Netivat Shalom is saying. He's saying a few things. Hold on. Bikdei lahagia laor, tzrichim la'avor zikuch. In order to receive the light, we need to go through cleansing, and we need to go through darkness, and we need to go through a situation כדי שהחומר יהיה מסוגל לקבל את גילוי אורו של משיח. In order for the material world, for us, for ourselves to be able to receive the light of Mashiach, we have to go through a cleansing, and a difficult cleansing, and that's what galut is all about. And we do not really understand how that is, but we do know, as we have always said, that Hashem only loves us. And Hashem runs this world. And Hashem knows what he's doing. And Hashem gives everything to us only for our highest good, to make us into beings who are new beings. It's like we're going through a metamorphosis. And we're becoming those kinds of beings that are ready to become closer to Hashem, to accept Mashiach, to accept the Geula, to be redeemed, and all the crazy things happening in this generation can be part of that process. We're in a process, whether we want it or not. And what's happening, all the suffering that we're going through, and all the suffering that the Jewish people have gone through throughout the ages, is part of the process and is making us into different human beings who are able, like I even notice, besides the fact that I'm, not eating so well and not sleeping and things that are, basic necessities for the body, right? And I feel already that I'm not, really focusing on the body anymore. I'm also not focusing on my personal problems. I'm so aware of what the families of these hostages are going through that I'm not even really focused on some major issues that are going on, in my personal life. Like major. They're really, issues, problems that I need to deal with. And I'm not focused on my own needs because I'm so in the national reality that we're going through. And that in and of itself, you see, is making me less selfish. It's making me into a person who is more other-centered, who is more thinking about others' needs. And therefore, I'm able to focus on the idea or on the bigger picture that I'm part of a nation and I'm part of a huge process here. And Hashem is running the world and Hashem loves us. And from this situation, only good will come. It has to be. It has to be. Because our destiny is rolling forward. We're moving towards Mashiach. We're moving towards our Jewish destiny, the end goal. So it has to be good in the end. And this is what he says here. Kol hamatzav hazeh, this whole situation, mekarev umevi letachlit habri'ah. It has to be bringing us closer to the purpose of creation. Lehitiv libru'av, to make us Enjoy the pleasure of the relationship that we have with Hashem. B'tachlit ha'hatava, with the most incredible good, which is shehi lehit'aneg al Hashem v'lehanot miziv shchinato, which is the purpose of creation, just to remind everybody, is to actually attach ourselves to Hashem, which is the most intense pleasure ever possible. So because we're heading towards that, that's the end goal. That's our highest good. That's incredible. That's amazing, right? And if we can just focus on it and be in that mindset that Hashem is running the world, and this is what we're going for, okay? And this is what the galut is for, and this is what all the situations that we're going through in our personal lives and in our national life is for. It's to lead us in that direction, okay? Shika Asher, hold on a second. Oh, and then he says in your personal life, when you feel like you're going through a terrible time, even spiritually, you're at the lowest of the low. You're just down in the dumps. You're despairing. You're depressed. You are not utilizing your strengths and your talents. You are not in a good place. Okay, you're not. But as a result of that, you have to overcome your Yetzer Hara. You have to overcome in order just to get up in the morning and move and put one foot in front of the other. And that is growth. And that is you becoming a better person. So it has to be that by overcoming our Yetzer Hara, even if it's bad and even if we're in a bad place, that brings us to the good, which is why when Hashem created the world and when Hashem created man, and it says specifically on the creation of man, V'hinei tov me'od. Everything in creation was just plain good, but our creation, human beings' creation, is tov me'od, very good. And Rashi says on that, and all the commentaries and the sages say that that is referring to free will, which really means that is referring to the Yetzer Hara. That's referring to evil. And our ability and our inclination and our tendency to go towards evil. And it's like a great question, like, what? This is very good. This is horrible. And it brings to all the horrible things in the world. So how can it be very good? It is because it brings us to growth. And if you don't have that ability to choose evil, then you really aren't choosing good either. So in and of itself, there is growth in every difficulty. I know it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's unbelievable to think about it. And it's all about the mindset. And I personally am feeling like sometimes I can breathe, sometimes, when I focus enough on this concept that Hashem loves us. There's a bigger picture here. Everything happens to teach us a life lesson, to make us great, to make us into better human beings. Hashem knows what he's doing. Hashem loves us. And from this situation, only good will come. Even if it's not here yet, I know it's got to be good. Okay? So that is really what we're focusing on here. Mitoch kol ha'yisurim na'asa Yehudi yoter karov laHashem. And I see it. From all the suffering, a person becomes closer to Hashem. A Jewish person becomes closer to Hashem. And I see what's going on with this city, with this nation, with our country. People are becoming better people despite themselves. It's crazy. We're becoming better people. I just spoke to somebody. I'm booking him for my trip. I'm just amazed at the incredible human beings that this nation has. I just booked him. I'm having this trip in 3 weeks. And one of the people speaking is somebody who lost his son in the war, in October 7th war. I don't know, the first few weeks for sure. And he started this whole organization called Simcha Extreme. You can actually look it up on Google. I think they probably have some stuff on it. And it's about bringing Simcha to the families who have lost soldiers in the war, in this war, maybe in any war. And like extreme sports and extreme fun. And you think like, what? You can have extreme fun? That's going to make me happy? That's not going to bring back my loved one, you know? And it's not enough. It's really not enough. But he's first of all, such a happy person. I don't think he's very religious. But he's just like, Hakol Tov. It's all good. Like, Hashem is going to work this out. Do not worry. Like, he heard I was actually crying on the phone talking to him because I couldn't answer. Like, I can't believe this nation. Like, we're such amazing people, you know? And I was like, I was listening to him talk about his son, and I was like so upset, and like everything is going on now with the hostages, and I was freaking out. And he's like, don't be upset. Hakol tov. Yes, it's kasher, it's hard, but it's tov. It's good. In the end of the day, it's going to be good. So my message to all of you ladies is that basically it's always good when we dampen the Yetzer Hara, when we push back on the physical side, when we become better people as a result of lessening the strength of the body and of the physical and all our needs and all our selfishness and all our self-centeredness. And there's no way that suffering doesn't do that, even if you don't like it. And of course we don't like it. Who likes suffering? Who likes pain? We don't like it. But it's like the process has to happen. It makes you better people despite yourselves. Okay? So let's focus on that. And the mindfulness makes a huge difference. He says it's a really big difference if you actually focus when you are suffering. If you're suffering anyway, you might as well focus on saying these yisurim, this suffering is in order for me to become a better person and to make me closer to Hashem. And even if you don't feel it, it is for that purpose. And if you point it out, you get credit for it. Hashem gives you the credit for it. And he makes the suffering really worthwhile for you in the long term, in the end game, okay? Because we are going to become closer to Hashem despite ourselves, all right? And that's what this is all about. So I just wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, peace, a little bit of comfort to some people. Even if some people receive some comfort this coming week, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. As difficult as life is and as difficult as these next few weeks are going to be, it's worth it for those some people who are going to get their loved ones back. And I hope that we will just continue in a good way until we receive all our hostages back and until we completely overcome our enemies. Happy Shabbat Shalom.